Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those Tuesday Trophy Talk videos. Today's date is Tuesday, June the 10th of 2025. So this will have covered the week of June the 3rd through the 9th of 2025. So this was a pretty successful week overall, not just on my main account, but we will get to that a little bit later. So we're going to start out with the first game I finished this week, Life is Strange Before the Storm Remastered. So as you guys might remember, a couple of weeks ago, I played through the original Life is Strange Remastered while trying to beat the game using Circle only. Now, it wasn't actually possible, which shouldn't be all that surprising. And I mean, there's a lot of choices where you just really have to pick something else just to even be able to progress because you have to like exhaust dialogue options and stuff like that. But it did make for some interesting outcomes at times. So I decided to do the same thing for Before the Storm Remastered. Now, this game is technically shorter, it's only 3 chapters, but all 3 chapters are longer than most of the ones in the first game, so this game does still take a fairly long amount of time to get through. I'd say it took me about 7 to 8 hours of gameplay time, which is not that dissimilar to the original game. Now, fastest times are like 4.5 hours. I don't know how you could do it that quickly unless... Actually, I have an idea of how you might be able to do it that quickly. If you like played through to the very end of each chapter without finishing it, and then finished them all like one after another really quickly, and then went back into the photos through the photo like chapter select mode maybe. I feel like that would be a lot of effort to go through though for a fastest achiever. But anyways, this Platinum Trophy is pretty much identical to the way that the original Life is Strange Remastered is, in that basically all you have to do is complete each of the game's 3 episodes and find and do the 10 different graffitis from each episode. So that's the other version of collectibles, basically. So just every level or every episode has 10 optional graffitis you have to do. Some of them are pretty easy to get. Some of them are a little more complicated. You are probably going to want to follow a guide if you want to get it all done in a single playthrough without having to rely on any sort of chapter select. But otherwise, just complete the game and do all those optional graffitis and you're good to go. As for the circle-only part of this run, I would say it really didn't go that badly compared to some games where I've done this. Like, I mean, remember back to like The Walking Dead Season 3, so Walking Dead New Frontier, when I did the whole Walking Dead collection circle only and how badly that ended up, and just like how awful everything was in it. But this one, there were definitely some choices made that I definitely would not have done normally, such as choosing whether or not to start over with David. It was like a 90 to 95% of people selected to do so, and 5 to 10% chose not to, and guess which part I fell into? You can probably make a guess there. And also, apparently, my final choice was actually the less popular one, but it wasn't, like, it was more definitive than I would have expected, I guess, with a final choice. Because with the other game, I can kind of understand it more for the original Life is Strange, but with this one, I felt like it might have been a little bit closer. But anyways, the next games to talk about were the 2025 Platinum Dumpster Dive. For those who don't know, every year I do one dedicated stream in the summertime in which our goal is to play a bunch of really crappy games and boost the trophy count a little bit and then just, get a chance to talk, hang out with people on stream, judge some really terrible games or potentially very terrible games. Occasionally finding some hidden gems here and there. That does usually happen like once per dumpster dive. I used to do them a lot more often, but I've gone down to just once a year because I don't really want a lot of shovelware on my account. But not anymore at least, because I used to do a lot more of it, but cut back a lot over the last few years. Although there is sort of a solution to that, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video as well. So you can see that I did 5 fairly quick, easy platinums, or very quick and definitely easy platinums. I actually got a total of about 20 platinums on that stream, but there's only 5 here on my main account. So the stream started out with me playing the Whiskey Story. Now I played this on my main account because I did some of the other games in this series like a couple of years ago. They're very, very straightforward games. They're similar to being like just a press X to win type of game. Basically, you keep pressing X on the first screen to grow wheat, which is that trophy down here at the bottom. And then you go to the other screen to sell the wheat, and when you do that, you turn it into whiskey just immediately. And that's how you get money. And then you get the money, you have to use that money, those coins, to purchase a better bottle. You have to do that twice. And you're also going to want to purchase the factory automation, which is only like 100 coins, whereas the upgrades cost a total of like 3,000 coins. And then you just have to get up to 16,000 coins on you at once, which can be done within just a couple of minutes. It's not difficult or time consuming in the slightest. And yeah, there's not really much more else to say about it. I mean, like I said, I did this one on my main account purely because I did some of the other ones on the account, and I wanted to get at least a little bit of trophy progress overall on that stream. But yeah, just, basically keep hitting the X button. You only need to process maybe 200 to 300 pieces of wheat to get enough coins from the bottles of whiskey to actually get the platinum, so it really doesn't take long at all. I think this might actually be one of the shorter ones in this sort of franchise, if you want to call it that. There are a few more in this franchise, but I'm not really planning on ever doing any other ones unless it's on like next year's Dumpster Dive or something. So yeah, the North American PS4 version took just under 3 minutes, and the North American PS5 version took about 1 minute and 40 seconds. So the funny thing is, though, I'm still not even like in the fastest time. I'm sure that if anyone has like a turbo controller, you could definitely, I'm sure if you had like a turbo controller, you could easily get this done in like 30 to 40 seconds. But I do not have that, and I don't really see a point of having that just to speed run a shovelware game. Then we have Jigsaw Finale. So with this game, I don't mind doing some Jigsaw puzzle games because I have done some of the other ones like in this series. You can see I did the North American PS4 version back in 2021, so it's been a few years. And, I don't really mind doing these kind of puzzle games. They can be relaxing, they can be relatively fun to play. Oh, I haven't done this Jigsaw Abundance one yet for North American PS5, surprisingly. But yeah, like I've done Jigsaw Solace in 2021, did the other Jigsaw Abundance in 2021, and so I basically did like all 3 of these originally back in 2021, and now I got around to doing this one. I guess I could still do this North American version of Abundance. I might actually look into that. I don't mind doing Jigsaw puzzle games every now and again because they can be relaxing. Just listen to some calm music, put together a puzzle. I used to like doing puzzles a lot when I was a kid, and I still find them to be somewhat fun and relaxing, so I don't really consider this to be that bad of a game, even if this image is not of the highest quality, but like they actually put a little bit of effort into their trophy images and their descriptions. Their descriptions make no sense, by the way. Basically, all you have to do to get the platinum is solve a grand total of 20 different puzzles. So basically, your first time through, just change the country part of the theme for each puzzle you do, and that'll get you 10 different ones, and then go back through them and change to a different background for each of them. And that's basically all you have to do. It takes, 20 to 30 minutes. It's a very easy platinum trophy once again. Jigsaw puzzles are pretty straightforward. So I didn't even end up in the top 50 on this version, but yeah, that's a very fast time. If you really know what you're doing with it, I could probably see you doing it that quickly, so I'm not overly surprised by that, but hey, quick, easy platinum, fairly relaxing. It wasn't a bad part of the Dumpster Dive, but it wasn't the hidden gem of this year's Dumpster Dive. I'll get to that in a little while. So before we talk about Zombie Derby, which is the last game I did on the Dumpster Dive as it spilled over into the early morning of June 8th, which was Saturday morning, or no, that was Sunday morning, I actually did most of the games on my alt account. Now, yes, I still had to purchase them, of course, which means that I'm kind of supporting those, which is probably not a good thing, obviously. But at the very least, I'm not polluting my main account with that many, terrible games anymore, aside from these Dumpster Dives, and occasionally if I have to get, a little bit of progress right before a milestone or something. So, what games did we tackle on the alt account? First off, we have Blues of War. So, this game requires you to basically answer a bunch of questions about war, and then watch an interactive movie once you get through all the questions. The game gives you infinite tries on each question, which is really, really nice. Though I will say, I'm not actually sure if you, I think you have to get a lot of the questions right the first time in order to get all the trophies. Now, this one being like World War II themed was fairly easy for me. I knew a majority of the answers just already, so I only had to play through the whole thing once and then watch the movie and we were good to go. But I don't know if you actually had to get everything, most of the questions, correct first try or anything. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit further up when we get something else going. Another game just like this. So yeah, basically just answer some questions about World War II, and that's basically it. And then watch the interactive movie, which you can just skip through. Then we have Duck Duck Shoot. So this game is a really, really bad shooting gallery game, and all you have to do to get the platinum is clear 11 rounds. I don't even really think you can fail the rounds unless you just, don't shoot anything or went down below 0 points, which I think you could do if you missed enough shots and shot enough, not good targets, so, the ducks themselves. Don't shoot those, don't shoot the teddy bears, don't shoot the dynamite. Just shoot, the balloons and the targets themselves, and you should be fine. Getting through 11 rounds is not difficult at all, but each round takes about a minute, and then there's a little bit of a loading screen. So I'm not sure how people manage to get the time that quickly, because it literally takes 10 minutes total to 15 minutes. So I don't know how so many people got it in under 10 minutes, but I guess there's a way to. Maybe I was just not playing it very quickly, or maybe there's a way to reduce the amount of time on each round. I could see that being a thing, so that I didn't explore any of the settings or anything, so that's entirely possible. Then we have Learn Hangul. So I've done a couple of these other games on my main account, but I didn't want to throw another one onto the main account because, frankly, I figured out these are basically shovelware. The first one that I did at some point in the past, you might be able to go find it on here somewhere. The first one I did a long time ago, I did play it with a guide, but played it legitimately, so having to match up the symbols, and I don't think it wasn't that one. That one only took 4 minutes, so it wasn't that. Okay, here it is. Learn Hiragana. That was the first one I did, and I did it in a legitimate way of not using, spam clicking methods. I actually tried to match up the symbols, even though I was following a guide, obviously, to match the symbols. But doing it like this took, 25-ish minutes, so it was not as quick that way. But I found out that these can basically be considered shovelware in the sense that all you really have to do is just keep mashing buttons. Basically, just keep hitting the same button on the directional pad over and over and over again, and every time that you end up losing all your lives, just hit the X button to start over. Basically, you have to match up every single one of these 35 different symbols with the correct meaning of them, I guess you could say, and that's really all you have to do, so you can just spam click your way through it. It can be done in under 5 minutes if you do it that way. Hell, I did it in under 3 minutes, and I don't even think well, actually, I haven't looked at my time for this one. Okay, yeah. If you get really lucky, you probably need a fair bit of luck in order to get this game, under a minute, just because of how random the symbols can be, and it might take a while to get the ones that you need. So I could see this one definitely being done that fast if you get really, really lucky. Then we have No Tears for Heroes. This one is just like the Blues of War game, except it's just a different one. Basically, all you have to do is answer a bunch of quiz questions the same way, which this one being war-themed, I didn't have too many issues answering all of them. I was able to get most of them correct pretty early on. So just literally play through the quiz. The quizzes are 20-ish questions, I think, something like that. So they're not super long or anything. And then just watch the movie at the end and you should be good to go. Like I said, I'm not sure if you actually have to get a certain number of answers correct on the first try. And again, I'll mention that with a later game in this series. But maybe you do, maybe you don't. But if that is a thing and you don't want to memorize everything or don't know the answers, you could always just follow a guide because I'm sure there's guides up for it. So yeah, a little over 3 minutes for the PS4 version. PS5 version took under 3 minutes, so 2 minutes and 22 seconds. And I'm sure that if you really know what you're doing, you probably could get these done in under a minute if you really just knew exactly what the answers were immediately and knew what to click. So could definitely see that if you're really fast about it. Now we have one of the most blatant definitions of shovelware that I've seen on the platform in a while, Paintings Restoration. This is not even a game. I'm going to say that right now. This is not a game. This is just straight up a so-called game or application to make sure that your X button works. I'm not even joking. All you have to do is hold the X button. You're going to get a series of 6 puzzle pieces that are a little bit scattered around like a square in the center, or it's a rectangle, it's not a square. And all you have to do is hold X to bring the pieces closer together and move the left control stick a little bit in order to get them all in the right spot. It's not even a game. I don't know what the hell this was supposed to be. Well, clearly it was meant to be shovelware that gives you a very quick and easy platinum trophy, because as you can see, it took me about a minute to do the platinum, and you could probably do it faster, because I know I wasn't perfect while playing it. So, oh yeah, like, I'm sure you could do it way faster than I did, so I definitely see how you could, because you just have to be, like, slightly more knowledgeable of exactly what the game is. I went into this one blindly, not knowing what it actually was, and that's how bad it was. So yeah, this is 100,000% shovelware garbage. Very glad I didn't put it on the main account. Next up, Starlight Shores. This was the only, like, true visual novel we did that night. And, I mean, it's a visual novel. It is what it is. These games specifically are made for either trophy hunters or, like, fetish people and stuff like that, pretty much, because of some of the content that you see in them. But basically, all you have to do to get the Platinum Trophy is make certain decisions and get different endings throughout it. That's really all there is to it. Just make certain decisions, get certain endings, and you might have to make a backup save here and there in order to get through it a little bit faster. The one thing I will say, though, that this game gave me a little bit of a problem with was the fact that with this one, it's like you couldn't properly save or load saves, because like there was no cursor on the screen to show you what you were clicking on at any time, and there was no audio prompt to tell you what you were clicking on. So you were just like randomly clicking on stuff, hoping it was what you needed to get. So like you were hoping that you were actually saving the game in the correct slot. You were hoping that you were loading the correct save. You only have to do like 2 backup saves or manual saves in this one, so it's not much, but that was really weird. Like, if you're going to make a really cheap, simple visual novel game, can you at least make sure that all the features of it, like the saving and loading, actually works correctly? I don't think that's too much to ask for. It took me about 5 minutes to do the PS4 version, and a little under 5 minutes to do the PS5 version. You could definitely do it faster if you can actually get the saving and loading part to work correctly, but maybe that's just me being stupid, but I swear if you go back and look at the video, I felt like I was trying to like click on stuff and there wouldn't be any indicator of where I was on the screen. So maybe it's actually my fault for being dumb, but I really think it was actually the game this time, that it was just not properly designed there. Next up, we have Mystic Warriors Battlegrounds. So this was the hidden gem game of this stream. Because usually with these particular streams, with these dumpster dives, there's usually like one game on them that tends to be fairly okay overall. And I would say it was this one this time around. This game actually wasn't that bad, and I wouldn't have minded putting this one on the main account. In fact, I'm going to put the PS5 version on the main account, because again, I don't think it was all that bad of a game. It's a game that they very clearly at least put a little bit of effort into in designing it. Now, it feels like a very cheap mobile game, but at the same time, it has definitely more effort put into it than some of the other games that we've played on these types of streams and stuff. Basically, it's a side-scrolling 2D beat-em-up type of game where you have a time limit for each level. You have to beat up enemies. You have a full upgrade system that you can access between levels with the money that you earn in the levels. Several different attacks and special attacks and stuff like that. It's a game that they very clearly put more than 5 seconds of effort into making, unlike some of the other ones that we did on that night. So, like I said, not that bad of a game, just the Platinum Trophy itself is very, very quick and easy, very simple. All you have to do is unlock 12 levels, which just requires you to beat the first 11 levels, including a big boss fight on, I think it was the 10th level that, I still got through it in one try, but I could see it being slightly problematic at times, but basically just beat the first 11 levels and you will get the Platinum. So they definitely could have done more with this, because it looks like it's a fairly long game, because, like, we were still in either World 1 or 2 by the time we got the Platinum, so it's probably a fairly long game overall. And like I said, it played fairly well. I don't really have any major complaints about it overall as a game. Sure, it's kind of, cheaply made and all, but it's by far the best thing we played in that night, in my personal opinion. So I would actually say that one is worth trying out, and I think it's cheap. I think it's like $2 most of the time. So no real complaints there. I probably will do the PS5 version on my main account at some point, because, yeah, not really that bad of a game, especially compared to some of the other stuff. Next up, we have Perfect Ninja Painter 2. So this game is very unique. It is... Basically, it was really weird because you were able to purchase the game once, and it gave you 4 stacks of the game for one purchase, which I don't think any other game has ever done. So, for whatever reason, it literally gives you 4 stacks instead of just 1 or 2 for a single purchase, which is a very good deal if you're a Platinum Trophy hunter trying to get a lot of Platinum Trophies quick and easily. I only ended up playing 2 of the PS4 versions, though, and I didn't bother with the PS5 versions because, honestly, the game wasn't really fun enough to be worth it for me for that. So, for this Platinum, basically all you have to do, well, I say all you have to do, it's not really that simple. Basically, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to finish the first level of each of the, 5 different worlds in this game. And on each of those levels, on the second level of each one, the first level of each one, you just get through it. The second level of each one, you can access a secret area of it, and that unlocks all remaining levels within that world, as well as the first level of the next world. And that allows you to get through this Platinum very, very quickly. Basically, you just have to beat the first 2 levels in each world, which is relatively fast, especially if you follow a guide or know what you're doing. And then you also have to beat the very last level of the game for this final trophy, which is a little bit more of a complicated level. Basically, the way this game works is it's technically a puzzle game where you're running around the screen trying to pick up different bottles of paint and painting over X's of different colors. Although I think it only ever gets up to 3 different colors, so it's not anything insane. And then there's switches you can interact with to pop up walls, because it's one of those games where you move in any direction until you're stopped or fall off the side of the map, pretty much. So it is one of those types of games. I don't know what you would call those types of games, but I've done puzzle games like that in the past, on computer back when I was younger and stuff. So it's pretty straightforward, and if you follow a guide, you can easily knock this entire game out in 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even a little bit faster if you really know what you're doing. But I went through it really without a guide for the most part, just because it wasn't really all that complicated. I didn't have too many issues with it once I figured out how the game actually worked. So, not the worst game ever, but still, getting 4 stacks of a game for one purchase makes you think that it was definitely designed with trophy hunters specifically in mind, so yeah. Take that as you will. Take that as you will. Then we had Stop 10. This is one of those one-button games from some particular developer that I've had some gripes with in the past for their games just really not functioning very well. This one is really, really kind of dumb and annoying at times because basically what's going to happen is you're going to have a big clock in the middle of the screen that counts up from 1 to 9, or does it go from 0 to 9? It's either 0 to 9 or 1 to 9, and depending on the level you're on, it goes up faster or slower, and then numbers are going to go across the screen on the bottom, and you have to have it to where the number on the bottom of the screen that's going across it, plus the number in the giant clock thing in the center, equals out the number 10. If you miss too many or don't get matches quickly enough, you will fail the level and you'll have to start over, as there's only one actual level to it. You're just trying to get as many points as possible. So, as you can probably tell, this game has a fair bit of RNG to it, because sometimes you just get a series of bad numbers consecutively and you just kind of get screwed over at times. I mean, so it only took me 5 minutes to get the Platinum, or actually a little bit over 4 minutes, so it wasn't difficult or time-consuming overall, but it's definitely a little bit more random than it probably should be. So for the Platinum, you just have to get the correct sum 30 total times, which is easy, and it's going to come along the way to some of the other trophies. We'll come back to Wrong 10 here in a second. Score bonus of 80 just requires you to get several correct very quickly. So yeah, that's going to require at least a little bit of luck, but you should be able to get it along the way. If you can just get 2 or 3 in a row that are fairly quick, you shouldn't have too many problems. Then you have to survive for a total of 60 seconds and score a total of 1,500 points. You'll probably get both of those in like the same run, because it looks like... No, I didn't. No, I probably did get them both in the same run, just like one a few seconds after the other. Basically, just keep playing seriously as best you can. You don't get that heavily punished if you mess up. You just then have to have a new number go across the bottom of the screen, and it might speed up the timer a little bit. So just take your time as best you can. Just really focus on it, and you shouldn't have too much of a problem surviving for 60 seconds and 1,500 points. It might take a couple of tries to get used to everything, but it's not too bad. Wrong 10 is a little bit more annoying, and that might have actually been the last trophy I... Was that the last trophy I got? 1058.34, so that was the last trophy I got in the game. Basically, for that one, you're going to want to sort of mix it up to where, like, you get a couple right, then you can maybe miss 2 in a row, then get a couple more right, then miss more in a row. Basically, just go like that until you manage to get 10 in a single life. It'll only take like a minute if you do it correctly. It just, again, might take a couple of tries if you get a bit of bad RNG, which is just simply how life is sometimes. So, not particularly difficult or anything, but just not a very good game, and, I mean, it's one of those one-button games, basically, so it is what it is. Solemn Warriors. So, this is another one of those same types of games as, like, the Blues of War and No Tears for Heroes, or whatever it's called. The problem with this one is right here that this trophy is bugged. So with this game, first of all, it's more medieval focused and medieval warfare, which I'm far less knowledgeable on than more like semi-modernistic, like 19th and 20th century warfare and 21st century. So I think to get all the trophies in this one, which comes through here for doing all the answers, I think you actually have to get a fair number of the questions correct, or else it won't actually count. Or maybe it was just bugged. Either one of those is possible, but I think you have to get a fair number of the questions correct for it to actually count. So you might have to go through this one multiple times, or just follow a guide through it, so do keep that in mind. Chancellor's Seal, though, this is the one that's supposed to unlock when you watch the movie at the end of the game. Now, the problem is that it didn't unlock when watching the movie when I did it the first couple of times. It only worked once I replayed through the quiz and then rewatched the movie without skipping any of it, which is like 5 minutes long, so it's not that big a deal. But it's just a really bizarre glitch to have with this game, and I don't really know why it was a thing. So do keep in mind that if you play this particular one, not only is it, very cheap, simple game, but it also has a potentially bugged trophy. So yeah, keep that one in mind if you're actually going to play this one. I would probably recommend just skipping this one and sticking with the other ones that are not seemingly buggy. So that's just my personal opinion with that. Probably save you a little bit of headache, a little bit of time. And now we have a couple of brain rot games. That is literally the name of the Platinum Trophy. I saw these from some Bad Driver videos, and these are like absolute perfect definition of what shovelware actually is. These games are absolute garbage. There is no real way to even call them games. I don't know if they were trying to capitalize on the idea of memes the way that My Name is Mayo did literally 9 years ago, but even if that's what it was supposed to be, these games are just, they're not even games. They're just like, I don't even know what to say about them. They're just straight up 100,000% shovelware. Now, the Platinum Trophies in these games are very, very quick and easy, but at the same time, they are 100,000% shovelware and should not be played by anyone. Part of the reason I did play them was, one, it's a dumpster dive, and two, I guess the one positive you can say about them is that they're only like 49 cents a piece, so they're not as expensive as some shovelware games. But good lord, these games are just like, they're not even games. They're some of the worst crap I've played on this channel like ever, and I am so glad that I did not put these on my main account. I don't know, maybe I could think about doing something like that as a punishment for a future failed challenge. Because Stroke the Dick Dick is going to be the punishment the first time I do officially fail a challenge in the future. But could potentially do one of these as an additional challenge. So all you have to do is get a Tralala of 11, so a score of 11. The way you score points in this game is you basically control like a shark thing, and it's going to be moving left and right across the screen, hitting X reverses the direction it goes in, while giant square pictures go down each side. Touching either side without touching one of those pictures gives you a point. Get 11 points in a single round, and you get the platinum, and that's really about it. It's basically a one-button game, but honestly even worse in a lot of ways because, I mean, it's just awful. If you actually play the game, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with that. And then we have the original game in this two-game series, which is also a one-button game, Tung 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 Sahur Runner. Like, I don't know what the hell that name is supposed to be or what that creepy-ass face is supposed to be over there. Maybe I make that the thumbnail for this, actually. Might not be a bad idea. Once again, all you have to do is get a Sahur of 11, so a score of 11. To get a score of 11, you have to... All you do in this game is jump over moving squares that come at your weird-ass character thing. And just jump over 11 of them in a single run and you'll get the platinum. This one was slightly more difficult just because the hitboxes were kind of wonky on it, so it took me about 2 minutes to get. But if you're a little bit better at it or get a little bit better luck with it, you can definitely probably get it in under a minute, so not anything to worry about with that. So both these games are super quick and easy, but my god are they some of the worst crap I've played anytime recently. Like, they are the true definition of shovelware, and I am very, very glad that I did not play them on my main account. By the way, these are my current stats for my alt account. Level 508, 46%, with 223 platinums, 4,713 total trophies, and, you know, I gotta wonder, like, I've got 97.15% completion. I've only got a few games on here that aren't 100%. So, like, Silent Hill 2, I played it on there so I could actually experience it. Resident Evil 6, it was my alt account for some of the boosting. Same with Far Cry 2 and Uncharted 2 for boosting. Those are all on there. Evan Daniel and Friends, this is one I kind of want to go back to and explore a bit further because still no one's ever gotten this platinum. And then this Jim Ori, that was my free Gilson B. Pontes game, and it was as terrible as you'd probably expect. Yeah, this is like one of the most bizarre games I've seen on this entire store in that no one's actually... I think progress has been made since the last time I checked it. Because no one's got the platinum, obviously, but now there's only 2 unobtained trophies. I'm assuming that the percentage there is a hacker or something. So it looks like there's only 2 trophies left that no one on PSN Profiles has managed to get. Huh. Could still be a first achiever for a game if I could actually figure that one out. It was really, really weird when I played it. And now we go back to the main account for the remainder of this video. So, Zombie Derby. This is the last game, or last pair of games that I played on the Dumpster Dive stream. These games are nowhere near as bad as some of the ones I've played, and the main reason I played them is because this is another game that I actually got for free from the developer. Got a developer code from them. And I actually have one more that I have the developer code for, but we'll tackle that one later in the year, probably. Like I mentioned before, I think they're like a real small development team in Ukraine, so it was interesting getting free game codes from them multiple times, and this game is definitely at least better than some of the stuff I played on that night. Though it's still definitely on the lower tier, but I mean, it isn't, you know, a super expensive game or anything like that, and it at least functions as a video game, which is saying something compared to some of the things I played. So in order to get the Platinum Trophy, it's not a particularly hard game, but it does take a bit of time to get through compared to the last one of these that I did. Because the previous one I did, which was like that Stunt Rider one, was like 10 or 15 minutes. This one takes a little bit longer. So complete the tutorial, that's pretty self-explanatory, just do the tutorial level. Then you have a bunch of trophies, you can get them all in the one and only level that you'll actually have to play through in the game. Basically what happens is you're driving through zombies, you can also shoot at them, and you have to like make stunt moves along the way in your car. And in order to beat the level, you just have to get to the end of it, but you have a very limited amount of fuel. So that's sort of where the challenge comes from, is you have to be able to not only conserve the fuel and your nitrous, but you have to keep purchasing upgrades every time you fail to get yourself further and further each time. You can't really beat the first level until you actually have all the upgrades, so you do kind of have to grind for a little while. Again, not difficult, but just keep in mind you basically have to grind a little bit to get there. So, killing 2 birds, you can shoot the birds when you get about halfway through the level or so. Just shoot at them with the machine gun on your car and you should be good to go. You can get that over the course of multiple playthroughs. Driving over 5,000 meters, you can get that over the course of multiple playthroughs, and you will get it naturally while going for some of the later trophies. Accelerating to 100 kilometers an hour, you are going to have to use up a lot of your nitrous at one point in time, like maybe going downhill or across a jump or something to get that. But it's still fairly easy. Just wait until you have a lot of the upgrades purchased. Then you have to purchase a gun and a push bar, which is just going to require you to collect coins and spend them on those particular items. Paint a car, same exact thing, just once you have some money to do it, you can paint a car. You have to fully upgrade your fuel tank, which is pretty straightforward, just of course takes a few minutes, a few runs of just actually upgrading that particular item. Then you have to destroy 70 barrels, which can be done over the course of multiple playthroughs. You can destroy them with your gun or just by running into them with your car. Killing 500 zombies should come naturally while going for the full completion of the first level. Now, there are no trophies specifically for finishing the first actual level of the game, but you do have to finish the first level in order to unlock this last trophy here, New Wheels. So, to get that one, to purchase a new car, you do have to beat the first level to unlock the next car. So you do have to get through it, and it does take a little bit of trial and error and a lot of upgrades to be able to do so. I think you do definitely need those full upgrades to be able to clear the level. And once you have full upgrades, it might take a couple more tries if you get some bad luck anywhere, just some bad movement at any point in time. Use the machine gun as much as possible to kill zombies and clear obstacles because they slow you down. And then just try to go mainly on your main fuel tank for as much of the level, and then switch over to mostly using the nitrous later on. You should be able to get through it within a couple of tries once you sort of get the hang of the game. Took me about 25 minutes, but you can absolutely do it faster if you're, slightly better at the game. I mean, even here, the PS5 version I did in only 17 minutes, so it didn't take me as long. But it does require at least a little bit of grinding, a little bit of time into it, a little bit of luck along the way. And yeah, like even here, 13 minutes is the fastest time, so that's not really surprising at all. I'm sure that you could do it that fast if you actually really knew what you were doing or were playing a little bit faster or something. But not a big deal. I mean, it was a free game, so I'm not going to complain. I have no problem playing games that I get for free because I don't get it that often. And finally, Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Of course, this game got its DLC 5 years after the previous DLC, even though I only did it a couple of years ago. So I've now gotten through 6 out of the 7 trophies. I unfortunately didn't quite have time to finish the DLC this past week, so we're not going to go through the full list or anything this week. But in order to get the trophies in this DLC, again, I've gotten most of these in the previous weeks. So just unlock and use the smart cover skill. You get this about halfway through the story of this DLC, which takes a couple hours. The 4 control points, there are exactly 4 control points in this, but this one actually unlocked early for me. It unlocked after I had found like 3 control points and the bridge settlement, so maybe I also did like get hinted at that there was the 4th control point there, and maybe I just didn't go for it or something. That is a possibility. Then access either of the 2 safe houses. There's one in each of the 2 new districts, so nothing too difficult there. You'll come across them fairly naturally. The call for backup, just put out the call for backup. You don't actually have to get anyone responding to it, so very, very easy. Then this trophy, again, I think might be bugged in a positive way in that I went into that sewer and it put me out in the wrong part of the map, but it also brought me to someone that was down and I revived him and it unlocked the trophy, so I still don't really understand what the heck actually happened there. Maybe it was a bug, or maybe I just didn't understand what exactly was going on with that. But it seems like the call for backup and responding to it seems to be slightly jankier right now. Maybe it was a bug or something early on. I don't know. I really don't know, but thankfully it did unlock. Okay, Brooklyn Bounty Hunter. This one's actually slightly more annoying than it probably sounds given its description here. So for this trophy, it's not about clearing any one of the standard bounties from each of the 2 safe houses, because there's only 2 safe houses, so there's only 2 bounties you have to do. What you actually have to do is clear the main bounty for the region, which requires you to complete the project for each of the 2 regions. Now, the projects are very, very easy to do overall. They have 3 requirements. It's capture the control point, or kill enemies or something like that. I think it's just capture the control points. Then you have to reinforce the control point by giving them at least 50 total supplies, which is very, very easy. You should have more than enough by this point. And then you have to find the 5 pieces of SHD tech in each of the 2 areas, which is by far the most annoying part of this because the tech is usually locked behind some kind of weird puzzle. And I mean, people that are playing the Division 2 are not playing it for puzzle like stuff like that. They're playing it for third person shooter action and tactical squad based action. They're not playing it to solve weird puzzles. So I would definitely recommend looking up a guide for the SHD techs because they are kind of out there, kind of obscure with what you have to do. And then with each of the 2 safe houses, each of them gives you a project like that. And once you do the project, the actual major bounty for the area will show up. So you have to go after that bounty and get rid of them. Thankfully, every trophy in this can be done on the story difficulty. I've been playing through on normal because it's really not that hard. But just play through on whatever difficulty you're comfortable with and just get rid of those 2 bounties and you will get this trophy. It just takes a lot longer than it seems. Like it's not something that's made very clear as to exactly what you have to do. So keep in mind that it is that like full end of area bounty, not the ones that you get midway through each area when you can start clearing them out throughout each area, and there's like 3 of them. Finally, this Hometown Hero trophy, I think, is going to be finishing the story and then holding the 4 control points and the 2 safe houses and the bridge, I think, is when this is going to unlock. I think I've still got a couple of missions left, so I haven't had time to finish everything yet. But I will get this done in this coming week, and we will have the Division 2 back to 100%, cleared out of the backlog, get the game off my hard drive so I can download something bigger like Oblivion and start playing it. Super excited for that in the near future. So yeah, with that, level 899, 47%, 30,485 total trophies, 881 platinums, 5,894 golds, 8,191 silvers, 15,519 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. Obviously, the main plan is to finish the Division 2. That is the only major plan this week. Just get through the Division 2 and never have to touch that one, hopefully, again. Even though, I mean, again, I like the game. It's so ridiculous they would add a DLC 5 years later. Though apparently it's no longer even like the game that did that the most heavily that was still possible. Obviously, I've talked about Borderlands before, but also Manual Samuel got a DLC and then a PS5 version like 8 years after the original game release, so I think that might now hold the record, which is really, really weird. Very weird choice with that one. But yeah, so the main plan this week is to finish the Division 2, which should only take another day or 2, and then I don't know what we're going to play the rest of the week, so Oblivion sometime in the near future, the Siphon Filter series, I don't know exactly what I want to play next. I did get the Black Ops 3 Mike Banning Challenge video uploaded on Sunday. I know it was a bit of a shorter, simpler one. There wasn't as much to talk about with that one, with it only being like 11 missions and being nearly doable. So with that one up, I can start working on the next trophy video, which will either be the Astrobot video or possibly one of the other ones that I have to do at some point. I'm actually going to do the College Football 25 video first, just because College Football 26 is coming out in like another month or 2, so maybe get that one at least ready to go up right before that game comes out. And then also the Astrobot video, and then their Mike Banning video. There's 2 more of those. And I've mostly got my stuff transferred over from the old computer, except for a couple of really larger files that don't want to download correctly. So I might have to edit a game of Mario Party that me and Lizard Guy did on Mario Party Jamboree, as well as like a short session of Smash Brothers, which I could probably turn into a short in all honesty. Might have to edit those on the old computer and then upload them from there, but those will be up at some point in the future. But everything else, for the most part, has been transferred over, which is great. So eventually won't be needing the old laptop too much anymore, but it's still holding out for me, still did a great job for me, was instrumental in this channel's growth during like the pandemic and stuff, and for starting out streaming and stuff. Also I have Dolphin, I believe it's called, the emulator downloaded, so I just got to figure out, I need to watch some tutorials on how all that stuff works, because I have no idea how emulators work. So we'll definitely look into that in the near future, so I can start hopefully doing retro achievement stuff. In terms of other games coming out, I know that we've got all of the like showcases recently and all the stuff like that. The Nintendo Switch 2 just came out. So it's an exciting time for gaming. I know that we've got the Gears of War 1 remaster remake coming out in like August. That's going to be actually pretty fun. Can't wait for that. So I think it's going to be like a lot of good things coming in terms of the gaming world. A lot of good things being shown. I do hear sometimes that we might be getting like a Fallout 3 remaster next after what they did with Oblivion, so that would be pretty incredible if we actually get that. I don't think we'll get a New Vegas remake or remaster because it's made by Obsidian, so it's separate from the developer from Bethesda. So I don't know if we would get that anytime soon, but with the second season of the Fallout TV series coming out in December, anything's possible. And then also for this week, it's Father's Day this coming weekend, and my parents are going to be here for the weekend, so stream schedule is probably going to be a little bit weird. And then also in July, I know that the stream schedule might be a little bit weird as well, because I'm going to go home for 4th of July for the long weekend, as well as to be able to have the chance to spend time with my dog that's 12 years old that isn't in the best health. I want to spend as much time with him as I can. And then, like, another week or two after that, I might actually have to go on another business trip, ironically back to Boston, which is interesting that it's the same place, but I have no problem with that. I actually had a good time up there. So, yeah, that is some of the upcoming plans. Might have some busy times and not be able to stream sometimes, but I'll do my best and then start working on editing some of those other videos. So, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already. I know this was definitely a longer video, so hopefully you guys stuck it out and can let me know what you worked on in the past week. And yeah, I will see you guys later this week for at least one stream, hopefully multiple, but we will have to see.